noticing that I'm growing, that I'm getting better. Oh, okay. We are live streaming now. Hello, everyone, and recording. So we've got Ketki here, but we decided today we're going to be very informal, but we're going to have her back for something a little more formal. And we've already kind of started the conversation around, okay, what holds you back on self-promotion? And as you're putting yourself out there in the world, it's good to not say no to things, but at the same time, when you get overwhelmed, you might have to refine what you say yes to. And that's what we were talking about. I was just saying, I had decided after a lot of organizations were approaching me to teach, I realized, no, I want all my material for free, but I do want to make money on it. So I'm going to do the YouTube thing. And then Ketki and I were talking about how we still struggle, even though we're both people that encourage the community to self-promote, we struggle with self-promoting ourselves. So that's what we started talking about. And for those of you that know Jonathan, who I call Jonah's son, he still loves us. He's still with us. He's just got COVID and his family's been going through a lot. So guys, ask our future superstar, Ketki, anything you want, because she's here to encourage us and help us. And I am now the host. Thank you, Manpreet. Okay, can everyone hear me? Just raise your hand or give a little, okay. Manpreet was struggling to hear me, and yes, I'll tell her, right. Thanks. Okay, Manpreet, everyone else can hear me? No, it's okay. Thanks for helping us out with this.
I see Vikas has raised his hand. Hey, Vikas.
Yeah, good. Okay, okay. Hey, buddy. Okay, you have a question for Ketki. Go on ahead, please.
Can you? Yeah.
Let me correct is there any question for me? Or?
Oh, no, so Ketki's here. We consider her our self-promotion expert family friend. We've had her before, and she's going to say thank you to that compliment. And
Thank you.
and we were just inviting questions to her about personal branding, personal growth, career growth, and also self-promotion, which is, we confess, is hard to do. Oh, Val's got a question. Yes, thank you, Val.
Okay, Ketki, one thing I am still struggling with understanding is branding. And it just seems to me such an elusive concept and so vague. And I guess when I think of brand, I'm thinking like Nabisco cookies. It's like a physical object, it's something. And it's like, I don't know how to relate that to say, okay, this is my personal brand, or I don't get it. Would you mind kind of talking about that?
Absolutely. And just to help you understand the concept a little better, I would rather start with a personal example. And this was one of the reasons that I started talking more about branding and even working towards it. What happened with me was just about 2 years ago when I was working in my organization. I felt like I was giving my best to the work. I felt like I was making an impact every day. And I considered myself a high performer. But in that particular appraisal discussion, in that financial quarter, what I understood from my manager was that he thought otherwise. He thought that I wasn't making enough impact. He thought that the work that I was doing was not making a difference. And it all came down to the discrepancy in the perception that I had of myself and in the perception that others in the organization had of myself. So it was that discrepancy which added a lot of complications to the way that I worked, and it added a lot of difficulties to my day-to-day activities. So I decided to take things in my control, and I started working towards influencing that perception so I could project what I care about. I could project my accomplishments well, and I could talk about why I worked a certain way, or why I undertook certain responsibilities, how I went above and beyond to add value to the organization. And in that year, I could see the difference in the way that people were now able to relate to my work. they were able to value me. They were able to give recognition through promotions and through different incentives. They were able to appreciate me, and that made me feel valued at work. So we live in a digital age where we have thousands of options to share our story with the world, not just in the workplace, but also with the community around us. And if you think about a decade or 2 decades earlier, people would hand out business cards to each other and say, hey, this is my business card. This is exactly what I could do for you. And if you ever need this help, call me. So this is like a digital version of that business card, where we pick one channel or one medium through which we talk about what we care about, what we are passionate about, and why we exist in this world, what is our purpose. And that helps the people around us to relate to us and better support us. So that is personal branding, in my opinion. It's just sharing your story with the world.
So it sounds to me then in your workplace that you're really kind of networking, or how are you communicating, I guess, that information to people in your area without sounding like you're arrogant or you're bragging, but you want to communicate, particularly to your boss? Are you saying that every week you are keeping track of what you're doing and you're bringing certain things to their boss's attention? Or are you in meetings? I mean, meetings can be a landmine going through those things with people. So how did you kind of navigate this in your organization so that you made your brand look strong and put yourself in a good light, but you didn't come off as arrogant or, unapproachable or whatever? How did you do this?
That's a very good question, Valerie. And I think that's one main reason that people hold back from self-promotion, because they think that every time we talk about our accomplishments, we are going to be the one that people hate, or we are going to be the one that always brags about ourselves. So there are three things that I would suggest and which have personally helped me. The first thing is, rather than talking about my accomplishments, I always make it about the facts, because if it's facts, no one can deny their validation, no one can deny their credence. So it would always be like, I helped the company in gaining 25% additional revenue. That's not something that anyone can deny, because I have facts to prove it. And that is something that I would bring up in my regular one-to-one check-in conversations with my manager. And I started scheduling these on a regular basis, because what I realized was, to have those conversations at the end of 1 year, where there's nothing that I could do to change the past, or there's nothing that I could do to accept what was being said, that made all the difference. So I started scheduling weekly, bi-weekly calls, whatever works for you, with my manager. And then I would over prepare for those conversations, because I knew that it was not very easy for me to talk about my accomplishments. So I first called up a friend, talked to them, and asked them if my tone was being braggy, if I could correct a certain set of things that I was talking about. And then I literally prepared an Excel sheet where I would run through all the scenarios that could go wrong. What is the worst case scenario? What could happen? And I started getting into a comfortable space with my manager, where I could share my accomplishments and I would not be judged. And not just my accomplishments, I would also talk about the things that I want to learn, the things that I want to improve on. And I would make it more about getting feedback rather than just talking about what I did. So it was always around what I did, what I could do better, and do you have any feedback for me? And that completely changed the narrative, because now people realize that I was looking to grow, and this was all a progress story rather than it being a success story. So that has helped me. And maybe you could build your own support network at your workplace, where you have 3 to 4 colleagues who you can do a dry run of your accomplishments before you talk to the people who matter, or who are going to decide your fate in the company. So hopefully that helps. And that is
I'm
a
loving
question.
this. I want to back up what Ketki's saying. It doesn't have to be bragging at all. What she's doing is, okay, manager, this is what I've been doing. Well, that's great. She's just informing her boss or manager. And then she's following it up with, is there anything I can do better from your perspective? No, not now. Please, if something occurs to you, I'm eager to hear it. None of that can possibly sound braggy. You're keeping the captain informed. You're looking for opportunities to improve. You have kept people informed of the work you're doing. And I would even say, Ketki, big stars to you. It's like a feedback control system. If you don't get the feedback frequent enough, you can go unstable. The system will go unstable if the feedback control is not getting a frequent enough signal. Same thing here. Who's Ketki's primary customer? Her manager. She's staying customer focused. Now, I'm saying all this, but as Tom practiced it real well all these years, I'm still learning to practice it better, what she's saying. In fact, I would say I've had some weak points recently, but here's a good point. Your manager may be so focused, they're not setting one-on-one appointments with you. It's better if you're setting the appointments anyway. It shows more initiative. And I see Ketki nodding her head at all this, but
Absolutely, that's on point.
I just want to point out, a lot of what I'm sharing is not because I was taught it and practiced it perfectly. It's because I learned it the hard way. So I will admit to that. And it sounds like, Ketki, you learned it a little bit the hard way, but you learned it young. So that's big thumbs up for that. Okay, now, Vikas, you have your hand up. Did you have a question or want to share, add something? Because it's great if you do. We love hearing from you. And I want to point out that Nishant's looking very German today. He's in Berlin. He's away from mom, so he's probably sad, but he's near Guy too. All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
And these, I'm taking some great notes. This is really good, Ketki. Okay, anything to ask or add, anyone? Yes, Val. Yeah, keep going.
So okay, so we got the manager side taken care of. So then what advice do you give to really working well with your colleagues? And, because you're going to be on teams, you're going to have to work with other people in the company, other areas. What advice do you have about those relationships?
That's another great question. You are covering all the aspects that are required for this. And I would say we always think that we just have to deal with our manager and all of our feedback, all of our promotion, everything will be taken care of. But always it might be the case that your manager reaches out to your team for your final feedback. So it's always a 360-degree feedback, even when we don't realize it. And therefore, your team members have a great weightage in what your performance is going to be viewed as. So how about you schedule maybe a monthly or once in 2 months, that kind of a meeting with your team members as well, so you can establish some working agreements with them. So what I noticed in my case, I work in a global team where I have people from 5 different countries at times working with me. And so there are different time zones that are involved, and that leads to a lot of misunderstandings at times. So what I've done is, whenever I get a chance, I schedule a few calls with them. Those are not really formal calls, but they are 10 to 15 minutes of informal conversations. And when we are all working from home, it adds a lot of value to making them feel supported. We talk about all things personal. We talk about how I could better help them to perform well at work. I try to share my learnings. I try to understand what I could learn from them. And that in a way it increases your rapport with your team, and it also makes them feel as if you are growing with them rather than competing with them. Apart from that, I would say, apart from these conversations, maybe observe your meetings closely. And I would share a personal experience here. So when I started attending a lot of meetings, I am an extrovert naturally, so I don't have a lot of problems speaking in front of people or speaking in meetings. But I observed a downside that every time I go to a meeting and I keep talking and talking, it uh, it probably makes others feel as if they don't have a chance to speak up. And that was a great realization that I had, because my team members were feeling that way, and I never realized that I was the one causing all those emotions and I was the one making them feel excluded. So what I did after that was, even though I would verbalize my thoughts well and give my opinion in meetings, I would go around the table and ask if anyone had anything to add. And that way it completely changed the perspective with which they were initially hating me, but then they realized that that was never my intention. So it is only by observing your colleagues in the meetings that you would come across these uncomfortable conversations that you need to have with them, and you need to show them that you care and you can work toward it and change it. So probably that, hopefully that example helps you to understand that.
You know, I was thinking of listening. I'm listening to you, and you've got all of these people all over the world in this whole digital thing. And I was thinking, like, two things that I used to do in the regular physical office, like have a candy dish on my on the desk, you know, because people would come in and they like that. And you get to meet people from all over the company because they find out who's got the candy dish, right? And the other is getting small thank you notes, and sometimes just dropping a thank you card, you know, on somebody if they, you know, really help me out with something. And now I was just kind of like, wow, I mean, I can send an email, but I just didn't know if in this digital age, if you had any other, you know, substitutes for the candy dish or the note cards, any.
Yeah, I would say it has become very difficult to express ourselves at work these days, because everyone is tired of working from home. Everyone has had too much on their plate. Even in our organization, when we organize some fun events for people, they don't want to join because they are so exhausted with the work that they're doing. They're exhausted with the screen time that they have, that they just don't have energy for anything apart from work. And so one thing that has helped me is, whenever we go on a meeting or whenever we have personal conversations, I encourage people to switch off their video if they want, because that has become a huge norm in the work from home era, where people are expected to look good and show up on camera and be on camera all the time, which is very exhausting for them. And we rather, when every time we have conversations, we try to take walking meetings where we just have our earphones plugged in and we are walking in a society, and we are also getting healthy and we're talking to each other. So there are things like that which we have personally worked out on as a team. We also have a virtual gratitude wall that we've built, which is just a normal Apex form that we've built, where people can post, they can tag each other and they can post thank you notes. So you can have digital versions of all of these and that would add some fun to the work that you're doing.
This is really good. I just want to summarize a little bit before we go on. I continue to be amazed at how all of what we're talking about can be summarized into one word: care. You should care that your manager is kept informed on what you're doing, and you care to know how you can serve under them better. You should care about your colleagues. Go find out what they're doing and how you can maybe help them. Find out what they know and how they can possibly help you do better. But you can only do that by showing them respect and showing them that you care about what they're doing and that you care to learn from them and that you want to serve them as much as you can. If that's really your spirit, who can be upset with that? And if they have a misunderstanding at first, like Ketke said, you stay the course on having a good spirit, they will see that. I'm able to speak so expertly about this because I failed at it so miserably many years. Okay. Seema, excited to hear your inputs and questions.
I'm at the very beginning of my career, and as you said, we are having like weekly meetings with our mentor, and once in every 2 months we are meeting with other team members. But we have just started the weekly team member meeting events. I want to benefit from them as much as possible with the input you are providing us here today. I want to ask, like we learned how to accept feedback from other people, both good and bad, how we can give other people feedback without making them feel criticized. Like, for example, if some other people we think that they can contribute more or they're feeling shy, we want to make them feel more empowered, or we want to help them to take some things to a better level, how we can express this thought for them.
That's a great question, Seema. And I think that it all again comes down to the facts, because every time we give feedback, there's always been this technique that I've heard of, which I don't understand why it's so popular, but people have this way of sharing the feedback where they follow the sandwich technique. So they start with something positive, and then they give you the negative feedback that you need to hear, and then they end with something positive. So the way that it works is, even the negative feedback that you get, you tend to focus on the negative feedback, and everything that was positive, you forget about it. So you start becoming very self-defensive. So that's one of the techniques that I've seen a lot of people use, which goes wrong almost all the time. And I would say that in this, there is no particular formula, or every team member would be very different in the way that they would react to feedback, because accepting negative feedback, or accepting feedback for that matter, is one of the hardest thing that anyone can do. You have to operate from a point of self-awareness. So whenever you're sharing the feedback, first make sure that you're in a space where the person whom you're sharing the feedback with is in a comfortable space. So they are not in front of other team members, they are just with you. Maybe they're having their coffee, maybe it's informal, maybe they are in a position, or it's around a time slot where they are in the zone of accepting what is being said, or actually listening to you. So that is something that you would have to do over several trial and errors, but you'll be able to establish that support system with your team members, where you want to show them that you're sharing the feedback because you want to help them grow, not because you're competing or you're trying to pull them down. So that's the first perspective that you have to operate from. And the second thing is, always make it about the facts rather than putting the blame on one person, or saying that because you did this, this is what happened. Talk about how something is affecting the team, because no one can deny that again. So maybe there's a coworker who is constantly negating what is being said, or not taking responsibility for their share of work. You would just say that all of us in the work from home era are being overburdened, and whenever one of the team members is not doing their share, it's adding a lot of dependency on the other members. So that way you're not pointing it out to the specific person, but you're talking about how certain action is affecting the entire team, and that's something that you want to improve, so that they feel that they are part of a bigger picture and they don't feel attacked. And the third thing would be, then you offer ways in which you can support them in mitigating this feedback. So maybe you can say that, how can I help you? Can I share your workload? Can I help you in by sharing regular feedback? Can we catch up weekly so that I can support you? Things like that, in which they would understand that you want to help them, rather than just give them some feedback and follow up after 2 months, right? So if you do that, they would understand your perspective, and probably over 7 to 8 feedback sessions, they'll be in a position where they'll respect everything that you say, and they'll accept and work on it.
Great, thank you so much for your answer.
This is cool, Ketki, because, sometimes we invent terms for things and they're not very accurate. For example, I think personal branding is spot on. We're really talking about going around, and the personal brand we've been talking about creating is, I care. I'm here to keep you informed on what I'm doing, so you can course correct me. Hey, teammates, I'm doing this. If you could use it, I'd love to know what you're doing so I can use your stuff and promote you too. So I think personal branding is actually better than self-promotion, because it's not that we're self-promoting, It's that we're going to make sure everyone's informed on what we can do for them, that we're open to their feedback, and that we're open to what they can do for us. And I don't know that there's a catchy term for all that, but that's what we're really talking about, right?
Absolutely. I think it comes down to making the give quotient greater than the take quotient, because you are showing people that you want to give more than you want to receive something from them. And once you establish that, everyone around you is going to understand where you're coming from.
That's beautiful. Did y'all hear that? Show everyone that you want to give more than you want to take or get. I love that. I'm just taking an important note here, and then Gus, I think we're ready for you. And Vikas, you've had your hand up. Did you want to ask something? Because we do want to hear from you, but I've asked you a few times. You may not realize you have your hand up, your virtual hand. So but we're going to go to, well, hang on. We're going to go to Gus, but now that I know you do have a question, we're going to hear briefly from Val, then go to Gus, and then we'll come to you. Okay, Vikas?
Okay.
Okay, good. Val, what did you have to add?
I was going to say, it's like my mother would say to us, be gracious, you know, be gracious. And, there's, you know, there's this saying, and I hope I don't screw it up. You know, be pretty if you can, be witty if you must, be gracious if it kills you. And I forget who said that. There's a woman, that was her line. And I was like, yeah, that would be my mother saying to us, be gracious if it kills you. You know, and I think that's kind of, to me, that's the brand. That's what sums it up for me.
Exactly. Tom, you're on mute. If
you lost your opportunity, you should have said, you get to bad lip sync for someone when they do that. So Val, I want to make sure I get that because it's so cool. Be pretty if you can, be witty if you must.
I will look for the quote for you, Tom, and send it to you.
Okay,
because there is an author of that she gets it. So I will find it for you and send it to you so you can put it in. Okay.
That's really awesome, and it's reminiscent of the way people spoke in the 40s and 50s. I'm not that old, but I was old enough to know when that stuff was still popular. So be pretty if you can, be witty if you must, be gracious if it kills you. I love it. Okay, Gus, finally we're to you, and then to Vikas. Go on ahead, son.
I'm gonna start with possibly the best translation we can have. The saying that we used to say in Spanish back in the days with my time.
we cannot hear you very
Gus,
clearly.
Gus, your audio is challenged. We can
Hi.
hear you, but it's not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better now.
Little better.
Let me do some. 1 minute.
Gus, if it's okay, while you work on that, we'll go to Vikas and come back to you. Okay, go on ahead, Vikas. Thanks for being patient.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'd like to thank Kritika for giving all this such a nice, conversation. So two things, I noted it down. So like as you said, like how the team cultures and everything we should handle, and that was very nicely. It was well organized, the things. So a few things I observed. Every team member wanted to grow, either in their career, either in their, so everyone wanted to, at the end, everyone wanted to become better than he started. So, like the thing is that sometimes some miscommunication or, the things we wanted to share or to the people, that is not something, happened on time as well as on properly. So they are taking in the wrong direction sometimes. And then sometimes it happened actually went to the time wasting as you hope you understand. So that is something what I feel. And second thing is that I just noted few points, maybe hope you people like. So I feel like be a simple, like you should be a simple, don't be make things complicated or complex. Okay. And the second thing is that like if you are making a plan, because everyone nowadays we are in a digital world, correct, as you said. So sometimes digital is not work in the real world. So for example, like even I corrected myself when you are taking a multitask. Okay, like if you are taking many tasks and you get bothered what I need to do. So always go with the analog approach, like 0 and 1 form. Like first finish one task, then okay, I will do another task. So that is some like a good better way of working. And other thing is that every day we need to work, and I feel like we should be a long-term clarity, like whether we are where we are going to stand. No, that is our second. And like there is some like initial stages, like what I feel like maybe something happened with everyone also. I don't know. Something like trust. Okay, so something you are sharing, it's very complicated to trust instantly. The thing, but something we have to start believing at least. So it takes time. Even for me also, and because the way of communication that happen after time to time. And second thing is that like there is one issue what I observe many people are facing this day. That is something called overthinking. Okay, so there is something like I have written a very good blog. If you want, I can any one of them share to you. The thing is that overthinking, like something, even a small problem or small things, we start thinking so much, even like whatever the things. And it's a very small word, but it's a very big topic. But we should analyze and we should fix it. That is the main, and that is one thing. And always eat good food, what you like, and focus on your work. That is important. And always like avoid like many activities. Okay, don't involve like so much in so many places. Sometimes some presence is not importance for us, so better to avoid them. Okay. And last thing, like what from my life what I wanted to achieve is that three things. One is like a good personality, definitely. And second thing is peace, and definitely we required money to survive. So these are the whole summary what I stuff. And I was just wanted to make correction what I have learned in 2021. Just I wanted to make into correct into 2022. So that is my something. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that, because I want to summarize one of the points you made, because it's my weak area. I know none of you could imagine me doing this, but I can horribly overthink things. And what I've had to realize is, no, if you're gonna really get a good start at this and get good at it, and forgive my language, but you've got to embrace at sucking at it at the beginning. You got to be okay with that, because yes, thinking a little and carefully and even thorough is helpful, but not if it keeps you from starting as soon as possible, because it's the actually doing that causes you to learn better. I love to repeat this story. The pottery teacher. Pottery is a serious art. I hate when it's made fun of, but the professor had two groups of students. One was to study how to make a perfect pot and then deliver one pot to him. The other group was tasked with, I want you to make as many pots as you can throughout the semester. The group that made the many pots learned to make the best pots. The group that just overthought it, which he kind of forced them to do, didn't. A photography professor repeated this experiment with photography and found the same results. So I confess that I still struggle with overthinking before I start. So, but I just, of all the wonderful things you said, because I wanted to really highlight that one.
Okay. Thomas, I will share you the blog if you want, about the problem is overthinking. So if you are interested. because I
Yeah,
can go
please.
in more detail, but you know,
Oh, if you want to do it, yeah, if you want to do it, put it in the chat. Everyone would
Yeah, I
appreciate
think
that,
all of
Rod.
us will benefit from it.
Okay, I will
And
put in
Vikram put a very good comment in the chat regarding this stuff. I love it. Okay, now, Seema, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yes, I had another question actually. I was gonna ask, like, if when we are doing personal branding, of course we are sharing our work online and we are doing it in the most genuine way, like the way how I feel ourselves. But can some companies feel this as a threat, as if we are looking for some other jobs? That's why we are trying to do personal branding. That's what actually I'm afraid of. But when Vikas was talking, I thought maybe that's an overthinking.
Absolutely. I think overthinking and procrastination, these are two of our biggest enemies these days. And we've got so much of time to do that we actually end up just postponing things. But this is a common fear, the fear of being judged and not doing anything just because of it. When I started posting on LinkedIn initially, I had the same question in my mind. And the main thing that I was praying for was that my manager does not read what I write about. Because every time that I talk about self-promotion, I talk about having efficient one-to-ones with your manager, all I wanted was that my manager should not be the one reading this. So I took about 20 to 25 posts before I got over that fear, because in the end I realized that no one cares. It is my LinkedIn feed, and as long as I post it, someday people will read it, someday they'll not, but I will be the one learning the most out of it. And it has given me a lot of self-awareness. So every time you do this, just do it for yourself, because we think that people think a lot about us, but everyone has their own struggles and no one cares. So that's a great revelation that I had, and that has helped me to get over this fear.
I want to back up something Ketki just said. One of my closest friends has almost 3 times the following I do on LinkedIn, 2-time LinkedIn top voice. You probably can figure out who he is, but I'm not going to say who he is. And he shared with me recently, I said, hey, I'm trying to always support your posts, but it's interesting you started posting earlier. And he goes, yeah, I was worried that what my manager might think about me posting during work time. So anyway, Ketki and I are not alone. I started to turn it around, by the way. I work directly with my CEO and my tiny startup. Most of the work that we are having done is done by a company we joint venture with. And I just made a thing where, hey, Dave, I want you to know I was on a show today and I was bragging on our company. And he's like, that's great. And why am I telling him that? Well, it's during work hours. I mean, he doesn't make me punch a clock, but I say turn it around. Ketki, your post, I can't believe your manager would see it as anything other than positive, and as good press for your group and your company. So that's another thing. Just want everyone to know you got to be more careful now. Mama's in the house. Maggie showed up. All right, now this has been awesome. Oh no, I'm gonna say it. Damn y'all. This is not fair. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. That's amazing.
That we are showing up late.
I just
Can you
read.
see it? Can you see the jealousy emanating right now? Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wow. You got to, someone take, please take a screenshot. Guys, I've actually been thinking, he's got to be mad at me. Why is he not talking to me? It's because he's been on the road.
No, I'm not talking to you because I don't want to tell you. I want just to join. This is the only.
All's forgiven. All's forgiven. Except that y'all are there without me. That's not ever forgiven. I guess Nishant could even be jealous, right? son?
Yeah, he wanted to come back. I mean, he left on Tuesday and he said, okay. And then it turned out that Kathy's coming this weekend. And he said, you know that I'm coming back again. And I said, no, you stay in Berlin. I will send back guys tomorrow to Berlin. But
Well, I got to make y'all jealous now, because let me tell you what's been going on. Now, I like to make martial arts analogies, and many of you would know Jet Li's an amazing martial artist, not just an actor. And there was one movie called Jet Li Unleashed, and it's really a strange martial arts movie. But guys, because she's just been here real informally, we've got Ketki Unleashed today. And we are flying high with what we're learning more together with her here, and it's been awesome. So you'll have to watch the replay. It's been, and we are recording, we are even live. So, okay, we kind of ended off with, oh gosh, I failed to take a note, but it was so good. Seema, summarize for us what you and Ketki were talking about. Ketki, you summarize the last thing we were saying, and let's keep going.
The last thing that we were saying is, even though we think that everyone around us is going to judge us, everyone has their own struggles to deal with, and they don't always care. So you have to get over that fear, because it's just your negative energy talking. It's just your procrastination doing the thing. So you have to get over that by just showing up every day, doing what you have to do. And eventually you'll get over that fear, and you will inculcate a sense of self-awareness, which will then help you in your growth. That was the thing that we were talking about, if I remember correctly.
No, that is exactly right. And there was a little thing I want to add to that. It was so hard for me to learn this. And Ketki, I'm going out on a limb here, so I'm going to need you to, it's okay if you can't back me up, but honestly, back me up if you can. We have to remember, someone is not going to like our looks, our voice, the way we dress. We're going to remind them from someone in their past that they didn't like, and they're going to have a prejudice against us. You know what? All you can do is push through that, because it can happen to, it does happen to everyone. And even the most, Val, help me here too. I would say even the most beautiful, kindest, accomplished people in the world struggle with people having prejudice against them. So please, if you let that hold you back, you'll let anything hold you back. So I encourage you, that's the area where you just got to be brave and understand that's a common denominator. Everyone's going to have to deal with that. What do you think, Ketki? Did I go too far out on the limb?
No, I think this is a great point. And I was just reading Think Like a Monk yesterday. So there's a beautiful line over there that I was first typing it out. It's a little complicated to understand, but I'll probably repeat it twice. So the line goes like, I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. So I'm going to type it out.
Now you're going to have to write that out for us.
Yeah, I'm going to type it out.
Sounded very clever.
But what it mainly talks about is that the perception that we have of ourselves is actually how we perceive what others are thinking about us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very powerful line, and I wrote it down in my diary because it was so beautiful. But it's so deep in itself. We don't realize this, but half of the time our self-doubts are actually the projections of what other people think about us, and that should not make a difference to our essence and our purpose. So it's a huge task, and it's not easy, but we always have to remember that we have our own blind spots, and we have to get over this.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, go ahead, Val, please.
Well, getting back to my mom, I guess I was thinking, because my mom had, in her job, she had to deal with a lot of people from the public. And I was always totally amazed at her patience, because I struggle with that. But I think her feeling was to come from it from a place of service, but not that she was a doormat. She was professional and she was polite, and coming from it from a place of service, and basically saying to me, You just can't, you're just in her job. She's there to serve the public. She does her job. She's polite. She's kind. My mother's one of the kindest people I know. But you have to realize you're not going to please everybody. And you just have to accept that you're not going to please everyone. And you just have to kind of, do your best and know that's it. You just can't please everybody.
I've put this in a format that's just easier for me to look at in the chat, Ketki. Just it's the same thing you wrote with different lines. And I'm wondering, should we grow into being who we think we are? In other words, get so accurate about what we think of ourselves with humility and honesty that that's what we should strive for. But too often we do gravitate to that last statement, don't we? We do. Yeah, it's like that is the self-fulfilling prophecy, but we should gravitate toward the first line. I am who I think I am, but that takes a lot of growth and maturity to get there. Too often we do allow self-fulfilling or the prophecy, self-fulfilling prophecy where we start to be who we think others think we are. And we need to avoid that is what this is saying. So really, yeah, thank you, Val. We're not going to please everyone, but we need to grow into, mature into being who we think we are. Be so honest about our strengths, our weaknesses, our history, always learning more from it, but not beating ourselves to death over our mistakes either. I've definitely had to learn to deal with that too. Not turning my mistakes into lessons, not self-whippings, not self-lashings.
There is
Okay.
2 points. There's 2 points that come to my mind here. I'll start from the same, from what Ketki told us, and you write it here in the chat. I think maybe the most genius kids who's the kid who is able to name himself when he wants something. He is not using I. He's using his name. Maybe he is directly related to this fact, but at the last point, I am who I think you think I am, and I accept it. I think we should continue with it. Yes, I will be that person if I accept it. That means I'm happy with this. Because the last one, there's 2 meanings for it. The first one, it's either I care about what you think about me more than what I have to do, or I care about what I am showing to you. But at the end, what's really shaping me is acceptance here. If I accept this new image or not. To Valerie's point, it's one thing. I think that the greatest part of when I listen to you, Valerie, that really you don't need to be exceptional to be the best person. You are the best version of yourself if you are really doing what you have to do and trying not to harm anyone. And that's all. It's very simple. Keep it simple, and we will live as a simple person. No need to think about how much we are exceptional, for example. So yes, I think when you are talking about your mother, I can also relate to my mother. And more than that, my grandmother also. They are the best for me. So for example, so yes, take it from that simple point. No need to think about how much we have to be exceptional toward the others or to please everyone. Even, by the way, no need to please anyone. Just do what we have to do.
Amen. Amen. I want to summarize from my American mind what I heard my Arabic mind brothers say. If you're, and it kind of comes full circle to what Ketki and I started out with today. Learn to, when someone gives you a compliment, learn to say thank you. And then you can give a little qualification of it, but accept it. In other words, if you have a positive mentality of me, I want to be that person. But be very careful. If someone has a negative attitude toward you, listen carefully, definitely filter out any uncaring hypercriticality and just take the objective pieces of it and use it to grow. For example, I've had some real jerks in my life who took great pleasure in pointing out my weaknesses. But then I realized, there's an element in truth of what they're saying. So I'm going to work on that. But I'm not going to accept how uncaring they were in their delivery. Now, I had to learn to be really objective and realize, hey, that person is critical. They're always bad mouthing everyone. So you got to take that into consideration. But if we keep really caring about learning and growing, we can make that very objective and still benefit from it. But at the same time, when people think highly of us, learn to accept that, not in a proud, boasting, arrogant sense at all, just in a, hey, I'm grateful, I'm growing. Yeah, Guy.
By the way, Magdi, not Guy.
I was saying that on mute, like, oh, Guy or Magdi or whichever.
Yeah, our team. Yeah, because it's funny because we had the same reaction previously, and also now reading Vikram's comment, which I fully agree. But it all depends your level of self-awareness. So if somebody is telling you that you are stupid and you believe in that, then he makes you stupid, basically. But if you know that you are not stupid, and even the others are saying that you are, but you are self-aware that definitely that you are not stupid, that you just don't take this opinion. But it really depends on what stage you are. It can be that it really affects negatively you, even it doesn't make it literally doesn't make you stupid, but you believe that you are. If you are not, let's say, strong enough with your self-awareness, which is pity, because this is what I see with a lot of young people, that they don't have the self-confidence or the self-awareness, and they do not make the next step because of that, because they believe what the others said, or they just see around that, okay, what others are posting, and I'm trying to tell them that, it is nice, you can be happy about your friends' achievements and joining a company, but you don't know what is behind. You don't 100% know the details and what it means. Yeah, it is nice that somebody is joining a new company, but it can be that in 2 weeks he will suffer, or it is not he's posting to feel better, but he doesn't feel better. You don't know the details, how it is going. And on the other side, and that's why you shouldn't compare to those persons. You don't know what they did for that. And it doesn't mean that you have to do the same. It is somehow superficial for me in a way when people are posting, and that's why I said, don't feel affected by that. Just take it as an effort, an achievement, a destination from them, but you don't have to overrun because of it sounds so positive, because you don't know if it's really so positive and what the outcome of that in 1 year, for example. So try to keep your integrity, or try to be strong in your integrity, that you know that I'm able to do this, I'm capable to do this, I have my skills, fine. And as Tom said, filter the negative opinions, fine, because there can be some wisdom inside. And then you have to make an adjustment. Fine, but it doesn't mean that all these positive or negative opinions should affect fully your life and take it. And I also had to learn this in a hard way. I was working in the team, and there were some, I don't know, negative opinion about me, and it was, let's say, jealousy as well. And then a very wise colleague of mine came to me and said that, Magdi, you will face this all the time because you have blue eyes, and somebody will not like that, or because you are slim, or you are not fat enough, or whatever. They will find something about you, but they they will not like. And this is what Valerie said, that you don't have to please, you really have to realize that you don't have to please everyone, because you can't. And for what? You know, the only person you have to please is yourself, first of all, because then you can go on and please others around you who are important. Your family, your close friends.
Like what you are saying right now, it was an idea for me for the last week. I was thinking about it. We are not in competition with others. Most probably we are in competition with ourselves.
Exactly.
This is the first.
Yeah.
And by the way, but this is something I'm not sure if there's any physician here, he can just correct me. But I was reading about some diseases that we might be, personally, even me, I might be one of this patient. Some mental health diseases, it can cause that the person is more sensitive about negative and positive feedback that he received. So I think on the other hand of this, we are talking about ourselves, but also we have to watch ourselves when we are giving feedback, because there's some people, maybe they are forced to be on that sensitivity level.
Yeah.
I know myself. By the way, I'm not sure if I'm ADHD patient, but I know I'm really a shy person, because I don't want to either to say something that reflects wrongly on somebody else or reflect badly on myself. And yes, this kind of sensitivity, you can find it a lot. So even when we are talking about the person, how to face this negative feedbacks or negative impact, I think it's also good to look up to ourselves and think twice before giving this negative impact. Think twice before making it personal. For sure, sometimes you have to give negative feedback, especially in the professional life, because there is something has to be highlighted. But don't make it personal. Watch your words. It will cost nothing. 2 more minutes to find the suitable word, it will be good. This is what comes to my mind.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned, I think, a few weeks ago, that you can, the way how you communicate can make a big difference. So it should be always a soft landing, and it is not easy. So it is time that you learn that and be diplomatic, or deliver the message that it doesn't hurt the other one. Obviously, yeah, true.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted to affirm, Guy, that you are an ATM person, ATME person, Arabic technical mind enhanced person. So that's your problem. It's no problem. It's an enhancement.
Currently, I was listening for good reason why I have to think that I'm right now in Bavaria, and I have to think that I'm Bavarian. Okay, so please, Arabic, keep it until when I come back, because
You bet.
maybe I will be punished for it.
I'm gonna put Ketki on the spot and just ask her to summarize all the beautiful things you two just said, because there was a lot there, but I know she can do it.
Yeah, if I think about what he said, I think one thing that stands out is, if you yourself accept your flaws, then no one can use them against you. I don't know, this is again a quote by someone, but it is very true of what he said. Because once you know what your weaknesses are, once you know what your blind spots are, it might take a lot of self-awareness to reach there. But once you know that, you will not be affected by what others think of you. And if others are giving you some pointers to work on, you can always accept it and take it as a good I'll take it as a constructive feedback for you to work on. And the third thing that I understood, which was something that can be implied from what he said, is every time that someone projects their hate on you, or maybe is not very kind to you, it speaks more about them than about you. So it's because they have their own securities, they have their own negativities that they are trying to project on you. So don't let any of that affect what you're feeling and what you're going to do.
That is awesome. I've actually, it's taken me forever, but I've learned to realize, oh, you're not being nice. How sad for you that you're not being more caring,
Right.
because that's really hurting you. more than me. Now, it takes a while to get to where you can be that cautious, but if it's really your passion to keep growing and learning, you can even take value from there. Now, I won't name him, but there's a son of mine here who had to deal with a very rude, hypercritical family member. And he came to me, he was crestfallen. That's an American term for, he just was really down about this way this successful family member had treated him. I had to tell him that was horribly rude. You should feel sorry for him for the way he treated you, because he's failing to recognize how much potential you have. Now, is there some truth in what he said? Yes, I see it in you too. But that doesn't mean you're not going to learn to overcome that. He should have said it in a very caring way, recognizing your potential. And now I've watched that young man, and he's already becoming more that characteristic. It's been awesome. Okay, now Dennis has limited time with us, and it is pre-soup time. So let's hear from Brother Dennis.
I just popped in to say hello because I have a lot of family coming in. I don't know when, and I'll be leaving. But I'm surprised about how nice you are. I'm not like you. I was raised in a military environment in NATO, and I'm not going to use. Let me give you just what someone like Patton said. Patton's the big general that just went through France into Germany. He's the enemy, or someone that criticizes. You don't have to be, of course you can be nice, but what do you care? I mean, I don't even care what people think. I'll tell you something, this is a live stream. I do not read the reviews of my own books. If someone likes me, well, he purchases the book. If he doesn't like me, he doesn't purchase the book. If he likes me and he purchases the book and writes nonsense, well, then why did he, that's dumb. So just ignore it. I mean, I think I'm in an oriental thing. I'm not going to just ignore it, and even ignore the compliments. Don't just go your own way. I mean, be yourself. I wouldn't say bad words on here, but go look at some action movies. Go look at some Rambo movies. That's good. Sometimes the martial arts and combat is good. It's not, it's not bad. So that was my message. I like you all, and I would never say something bad to anyone. I mean, that's about the dumbest thing you can do. Even if someone, you don't like what he said, or you take your time. So my message is a bit maybe more combative. But they're mean to others, I don't care. If they're mean to me, sure, go ahead. I don't care. I'm going to eat my soup anyway, and it'll taste the same. My soup tastes the same whether the guy likes me or not. There are a lot of mean people out there. So my message here, the family has arrived, is F them, if I may say. I didn't say it. You can delete it when you publish it. So Gaev,
No.
Gaev is a great guy. I don't even know what he's worrying about. The only thing, if I were Gaev, the only thing I would be worrying about
I would say feel them, okay?
Is your family there now?
No, I'm visitor with Magdi, so that's why I'm right now in Bavaria.
Yeah, but when are you going to get? When's your family coming in?
I think they will need 3-4 months again. Still,
that's the only thing you have to worry about, is when your family is going to get there. Whatever people think.
Dennis, I agree 100% from practical point of view. I have only one comment. Even if you are dealing with enemy and you have to shoot him,
yeah,
it's not bad to respect him after his death. That's only my point.
Of course, no, before his death.
So this is exactly.
No, I agree.
This is from practical point of view, but at one point you will have to meet that. Yes.
Yeah, it's typical Mid-Eastern philosophy is you have to respect your enemy before and after you kill him. I mean, there's been wars going on for thousands of years. If you don't respect your enemy before and after, well, then I don't know what you are. You're not a human being. But if someone's mean to you, forget about it. Think of your family in a few months.
Exactly, sure.
What do you
Amen.
care? Gosh, you have your family.
Agreed.
Okay, guys,
Agreed.
my family has got here. I just wanted to say hello because I like you all. And Gaiath, you're great. I mean, what are you worrying about? And I don't know who said something bad to someone in the family. Why did that person not answer to it? Someone would be mean to me, I'd just laugh in his face. What do you care? The
You know,
food's going to,
Dennis,
yeah.
when you're younger, it can be hard to think quickly like that. But I have a feeling 2 years from now, that person would say, I'm going to take very seriously and consider very carefully what you said, but I feel bad for you for being such a mean person. That's just, you must be dealing with a lot of hurt.
Why would you go that far? Why don't you something off?
I think because we need to learn that those usually.
Don't you come from Texas?
Yeah, but you know what? Usually people that are mean like that, Dennis, they're mean because they've been hurt. I think it was Val that taught us.
I'm not a psychiatrist, If someone's mean to me, that's his problem.
Yeah, I think it was Val that taught us, or someone in a past show. They said it so precisely: hurt people hurt. And if you can remember that, it helps you get through those times and still take some value.
I think you guys are wasting energy.
We may be.
Just be a Texan again. What's going on over there in Idaho?
But
these
Dennis,
these Idaho potatoes, they're getting to you.
Yes, we don't want to get on Catherine's bad side. So I'm going to say something to you. I want you to take it well. S.U. Dennis. Scoop you.
Okay. See you. I love you all.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
brother. We love you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now Gaith and Magdi, y'all had one of your hands up. And you're laughing, and we don't know what you're laughing at, so you got to share.
Tom, I just shared like the note, so in the chat.
Oh, yes, thank you, Vicus. I'm not seeing it yet, so maybe it's delayed, but we'll come back to you. And then, after we hear from Magdi and Gaith, whatever they were laughing about, we're going to go to Gus because he thinks he's got his audio.
Yes, first, I want to say something here. FS, okay, at the end, please remember that I'm not native English speaker, so we don't want to use more letters in this since there's the go there. And I think we have to apologize currently, me and Magdi, because we have some plans.
We have dinner plans.
Oh, totally understand that. And of course, we're burning with more jealousy now, but we will accept it.
It was nice seeing you.
Oh gosh, thanks for showing up together like this. This is awesome.
And Magdi, what are you having for dinner?
I cooked something with vegetables, rice, and beef in the oven, and I baked some cake.
I'm coming to Berlin.
Okay, Nishant, you can host him until I come back because I'm not in Berlin. You go.
He's not in South Germany with me. Nishan is in Berlin.
All right.
Hey, just real quick before y'all go. Real quick before y'all go, I was telling Sue, hey, Manpreet's getting married in 23. I think I'm going to need to go to India for that. She said, Tom, you have kids in college. How can you even think of that? So pray that I somehow make a lot of money to where she says go. Anyway. Okay, we're going to go to Gus, who's got improved mic quality now. And then I want to make sure we touch in with Ketki, because I want to let her do these summarizations that I love to do because she's so good at them. And then we're going to go over to Vikas again. All right, please, Gus, eager to hear from you. Uh-oh,
We
can't hear you. Maybe you have a different mute. That sometimes happens. Or change your settings change your settings in
The audio source, yeah.
yeah, audio source.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, now you're good.
Excellent.
Okay.
It sounds good too.
I disconnect this, sorry. But basically, what I was gonna say, ages ago, just to confirm what Kitaki said, like first you need to understand yourself, right? Your strengths or your weaknesses and all of that. I was gonna start with a saying that we have in Spanish. It's like foolish words, deaf ears, basically. So if someone is there and it's not going to contribute for your development, so just ignore it, as Danny said, right? And I remember back in the days, I was in a position that my department, we were two senior business analysts. One of them was very the typical person, like I feel sorry for you because you're very like toxic, right? So I remember I used to get on well with many departments, have great communication, always being toxic to everyone. But she was very ingoing. And when it comes to reviewing performance and providing like opportunities to grow and pay rise, she always used to go like, why are you getting pay rise and all of that? And I said like, but just look at yourself. I mean, you do your job, but overall, like let's say after that, you don't provide anything except blaming people, being toxic, and not being nice. And also, I remember I used to say to her, like, even though that you think that that person thinks whatever you think they think about you, you just need to be cautious. It's a saying that being polite doesn't mean that you're not going to be brave, right? So that's the situation basically. You're gonna come across with lots of people, and as Bao said, you can't please everyone. You need to think about like, just think about like yourself in a company. You're a project, and what's your main aim? How you gonna get there? So there will be barriers and obstacles and some things that they're gonna be advantages for you, right? So that's what the thing I was gonna say.
That's great. Thank you for that. Anything to add there, Ketki?
No, I think he summarized it very well. And at times, if you are in a toxic environment, and even after confrontation, even after being brave, if things don't work out, then it's on you to change your environment. You have to take ownership of your situation and change your job. If you have to, do whatever you can to surround yourself with people who are genuinely happy in your success and who encourage you to grow. Those are the people that we want to be surrounded with.
This is such an important point, even though we're talking about how to grow into dealing with harsh people.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with yourself. Have I grown enough to deal with this environment? If not, yeah, I agree with Ketki. Go look for another job. Okay, we're going to go to Vikas and then do a summary and then go to Yugo-san. Okay, Vikas.
I will not take so much time to everyone because already we are running a little bit late. So I just wanted to share the note in the chat in case anybody having issues while accessing or anything. You can reach out to Tom or me or anyone. Yeah. Summary is that we need to make a good classifier. So it's a funny. So which one is good or bad? So just we need to work on our information or data. So yeah. So that's it.
Because I'm not finding that link in the chat. Maybe you put it on the Slack, which is great. Did you put it in Minter Time? Or actually, better yet, Vikas, put that link in family chat. That way we can all get to it and it'll preserve past our meeting now.
I
So
think
put
he
it in,
shared a PDF, Tom, in the chat. He shared a PDF.
yeah, boy, I looked up and
because I can see that PDF.
Yes, as
Okay.
we text, it just goes up. That's why.
yeah, just I'm I'm wondering if it just didn't come through for me because I'm not seeing a link. If y'all are getting it, great. Maybe
Maybe I
someone
can post it again.
Thank you.
Now
That
you
would be
see-
great.
You see?
Yes, now I see it. Thank you.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I guess it
And
failed
I
for
hope
me for some reason.
anyone can give a feedback. So I'm not a big author, but
Or we'll share it. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, because thank you. And then now, Ketki, you're kind of like co-host with me. So if you want to summarize anything anyone said before I go to the next person, please tell me you want to. And then we're going to go to Yugo-san.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
think
Vikas.
as of now we are good. We've covered everything.
Good, good.
Right, Ketki, how are you doing? I think I like the spelling of the name that just put up Ketkey. It sounds good.
Yeah, that makes it very easy.
Yeah, it makes it unique. Right. So
Kataki makes her sound Japanese, right? Kataki, but it's Ketki. I had to learn too, just so everyone knows. I started out calling her Kataki, and she gently corrected me. Okay, go on.
Yeah,
Yugo.
that's
Sorry.
the very first post on LinkedIn that I wrote about, where people would completely change my name, but I understand.
That's all right. Okay, so Ketki, my first question would be this. You're a nerd by, if I may use that word, okay? Yeah, by training, you're a software engineer, a geek, a very, 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 very geek kind of person. Now, this is you doing soft skills, personal branding, and stuff like that. So the first thing is this: do you get worried that you may lose your passion for software and the geekiness? Right? Do you get worried like that?
Well, I did have a lot of insecurities when I started, because the thing about soft skills is when you start talking about them, people think that you are not technically proficient. And that's a common perception that you would start facing in the industry. Every time that I've done presentations around presenting well and communicating, people think I'm not that well versed technically. That's why I'm talking about these things. But it again comes down to how much I know about myself and what my goals are. Am I working towards them? Am I progressing? And then I don't need that external validation. So I have learned it the hard way, but I can now filter out all this noise, which just deters me from my progress.
But do you worry that one day it will come when you would be so focused on soft skills that you won't know how to write code anymore?
No, I don't think that will happen, because that's a craft that I work on every day. I dedicate so much amount of my time to it. But everything that you work on, you don't have to talk about it. So that's completely okay. You don't have to share everything that you do, as long as you share what's important to you. So I don't worry
Okay,
about
great.
it.
One more
Isn't
thing.
it-
Okay, Dad. Go ahead.
Just real quick, this is a great question. Love the African mind, always. But Ketki, think about this. The better we learn to care, the better our code gets, because we care about clarity, maintainability, reusability. If we're really caring about people that are going to look at our code after us, we're going to learn to write really good code. Like Linus Torvalds, even I love the way he summarizes coding. I just want to code beautifully, and he does. That's why I'm on Linux, thanks to him. That's a good point, Hugo. But yeah,
Right.
Okay,
so
it's
one
really,
more thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Go on, Dad.
I was just going to say, it's great to be multidimensional, right, Ketki? We need to be multidimensional to be better data scientists. Go on ahead. You go.
Okay, so Ketki, if a gun is put on your head right now, and the person says, "Hey, choose one: soft skills or code," which one are you going to choose?
I don't know if these are mutually exclusive, but then I would choose soft skills, because what I've learned from my experience is that you have projects, you have processes, and you have people. But the third element is always the hardest. You might become the most proficient coder in your company, but if you're not working well with people, it is all going to come down. And I've seen this with people, I've seen this happening all around me. So I've learned it pretty early in my career that managing people, that's the biggest gift that you can give to yourself. You have to work on it every day. You learn something new every day. You will make mistakes, but soft skills is the most important part here.
Okay, let me put it in a better perspective. So let's say a genie comes out right now and the genie says, hey, I can only grant you one wish, and that wish is to choose between soft skills and this your coding superpower. And you tell me you're going to give up coding for soft skills? Like you don't like coding at all?
I kind of want to answer. I'd tell both of them, I don't want to live in a world like that, you idiot. Just pull the trigger.
Okay, so now that it's glaring that you like soft skills and you prefer it to code, but do you ever think that you can get that middle ground? Because the truth is, both skills are divergent. If you do soft skills, you are going to keep progressing on that route. So one morning you wake up and you've not written a line of code in the last 2 years. All right. So do you have a strategy in place to ensure that that divergence doesn't happen, where you wake up and you don't know what Java is anymore or something? How do you maintain both ends of the divergent spectrum?
And are you talking from the perspective of workplace or in general?
Like general life, general. Right.
Yeah, so it all comes down to what you're trying to prioritize. And as you said, maintaining the balance is very tricky at times because one day you wake up and feel like talking about soft skills, and one day you wake up and you don't want to talk to anyone and you don't feel like soft skills are important. So everyone has their own set of moods and energies for that particular day. But what I do is, as soon as I wake up, I maintain a to-do list where I and allocate equal slots of time to everything that's important to me. So if I have to work on a few technical skills, that is in my list. If I have to work on communicating well, if I have to practice in front of the mirror, that is also on my list. So I allocate equal amount of time to everything that's important to me. And once that is done, whatever time is left, that's the time that I can talk about these things and share it with people. But that's only when all my priorities first are sorted out. That's a strategy that has worked well for me so far.
Okay, one last question. You just hinted on, as if you looked into my notes now, work-life balance. Is that a thing for you in this pandemic? Especially knowing that you really cannot perform at your peak when you have not attained that. So is it a thing? That's number one. And number two, how do you strike that balance presently?
That's a great question. And just give me 1 minute. My Mac is running low.
Oh, wait, you're a Mac user, Katki?
For now, I am.
How did
Only
we allow her to be on our show? I'm joking. It's a fun rivalry, but I think they're awesome, by the way. I do.
No, this
It's
is
Linux.
just that.
I want y'all to know it's Linux you pay for. That's what she's using. Bravo, Linux. Sorry.
Yeah, my Windows laptop actually has some problem with the task manager. So every 5 seconds, my Zoom hangs up. And I didn't want that to be an interruption for this call. So I'm on Mac for this one. But going back to your question, I think the first thing is work-life balance. It is something that's very subjective to the person who's talking about it. For some people, these might be two equal components and they might be better integrated with one another. So there's no boundary that they want to create where work and life, everything goes together for them. And for some people, they might have boundaries which help them to maintain a good mental health. So it all comes down to what you think works for you. What I initially did, this is a framework that I had when I was working on a few personal goals in the last year. what I did was I figured out what was the most efficient time slot that I could work in. And because I collaborated a lot with the US teams, I figured out that if I logged in at 4 p.m. and worked till 11 p.m., all of my meetings and all of my work could overlap as much as it could. And then in the morning, as soon as I woke up at 9 a.m., 9 to 4, all of that time was only for my personal goals. So every day when I started my work, I walked in with the confidence that my personal goals were already sorted, and now the rest of the day was only for my work. So that helped me to establish the balance at that time. But now that some of my personal goals are accomplished, I'm trying to divide my day into different time boxes where I start with personal, go to professional, again take a break, work on my personal goals, and then go to professional. So it all comes down to what works for you. There's no one size fits all here. But you'll have to do your own trial and errors. You'll have to reflect on what worked for you to find out the strategy that best works. We can always share, but it's not something that you definitely have to follow.
Excellent, excellent. You know what, Ketki? We've had a lot of amazing sessions over our young beginning here. We're a little over a year old, but I gotta say, I think this is probably the recording that most people need to hear. I think we covered, and you so well, we covered things that are most likely to hold us back.
Yeah.
And people that I think a lot of people could benefit from replaying this one. There's many people that want to be here and can't always make it, but I'm going to make a special point in our Slack, and we want you to join that so we can stay in touch with you there too. That's where we spend most of our family time in Slack, and but I'm going to really encourage those that couldn't make it to rewatch this one because it's so good. So I'm going to try to wrap up, but I want to hear from you before we wrap up because Ketki's been so generous with her time, but we don't want to abuse her. Go on ahead, Sai.
Yeah, it's actually an awesome session going on. Just wanted to ask Ketki, what is your suggestion for a college guys? Typically me, because I'm not having a 9 to 5 job and stuff. I'm just in college trying to more like academics life balance than a more like a work balance. So yeah, just a need
Yeah.
of wisdom.
I would say, is your name Sai? Is that correct?
Yeah, Sai Vajrang. You can call me. Yeah.
Could I call you Sai?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I would say, Sai, that for academic, that time of your life, that is going to be something that you will cherish for your entire life. And I'm looking to be a student again. I'm applying for my master's now. So that is a time where you have the most amount of freedom to do whatever you want, because once you start with the corporate world, once you start with your job, implicitly there are so many responsibilities that are on your shoulders that sometimes you don't have the flexibility. So while you're in your academic life, don't worry so much about academic life balance, but just give yourself a space where you can make as many mistakes as you want to, so that you figure out what is it that you're inclined towards, because that will help you to find your purpose. So just be open to experimenting while you're in college, and that doesn't mean just with respect to the curriculum, but with respect to any additional extracurricular activities that you want to do. What is it that you're passionate about? Maybe some volunteering experience, maybe opening a club, or maybe entrepreneurship. Whatever it is, just give yourself enough space to do everything that you can in those years. So as you go through life and as you think about the next job and getting into the corporate world, you will have a better clarity on what will work for you. So this is the time to build self-awareness, not to think about how to maintain a balance. That would be my advice.
Excellent. Taking notes here. All right.
You can add if you want to.
Oh, Ketki, in case you couldn't tell, our family's deeply in love with you. You are in the family. We just want you on the Slack. And
I'll make sure to figure out what's wrong with it and I'll join it.
Oh, there you go, saying it all with his hands there. Get more pointy at the bottom there, son, like this. There you go. There you go. And Ketke, we know you're really putting yourself out there. So we want you to know we're your cheerleader. So I'll close with a story. I won't mention the name, but Giovanna and I interceded on the behalf of a young woman. Ketke, she was really starting to put herself out there, really giving to the community. And she was getting put down by people. And we had to intervene just to say, people will get jealous and try to pull you down to their level. Don't let them. Now, it doesn't always happen, but it can happen. I got to tell you, there's good news in your future. This gray hair and the 3 letters behind my name and the hard-earned knowledge I have made me pretty much bulletproof. But if you watch closely, I still get some person that's got to make their mark in the world trying to pull one of my posts down or saying where I came short. I just turn around and say, wow, thank you for making that point. You know, you can't say too much in these LinkedIn posts. So when someone gives you a comment like that, it sure adds to the post. You know, just as much as you can, turn it positive. But you may have noticed too, when someone starts trying to beat up on y'all, and I see it, they quickly regret it. If you are getting dogged, you let me know. I'll deal with it as expertly as I can. But we need to remember to have compassion for those people because they're acting that way because they've been treated that way. And that's just, it's horrible. But, and you know, I've been feeling really beat up this week because I let things come out of my mouth that shouldn't have come out. I was reflecting on how I had been rude to some people and I wished I hadn't. And it was misplaced aggression. So I got to watch out that I'm not acting out from my past injuries, from my past bitterness. We all have to be on guard against that so we don't become those people that hurt. And I just wanted to close with that. I feel like confession's good for my soul, but especially if it saves y'all from repeating my mistakes, I'm very happy to help y'all do that. And Ketke, we love you. We want you to keep being brave, keep making your YouTube videos, and all of you too. I know Gus is putting himself out there. Hugo definitely is. If you guys, Sai, your post, over 150 now, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe just a thought. I wonder if there's someone you could have on your show soon, on your podcast soon.
Ketke is there.
You know, I would recommend too, because of the work they're doing. I mean, because I know they're really pushing the boundaries. Gus and Hugo are now awesome guests because Hugo's giving back more. Hugo's giving back to the community more than I do. And I'm just trying to do what I can. And Gus, he's in a job where he's transformed that role because of how caring a teacher he is. So you got 3 good future guests right there.
Perfect. I'll note that down. Thank you.
Super. All right, everyone.
They're actually on my list.
Excellent. All right. So great to be together. Let's keep it going on Slack. I'll try to, it's going to be hard to summarize this one in less than 1,250 characters, but I'll work on it hard. And guys, I love you. See you again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks again,
Have a
Ketke.
nice weekend. Thank you so much again.
Ketke, please join Slack, okay?
Yeah, I will figure out what's
Okay.
wrong in it.
All right, and I'll help you. Just let me know.